Today on the bench I have the Pentax K1000 that I'm going to be replacing the light seals in. I picked up the kit from US Camera, and this is probably the third or fourth kit I've picked up from them for different cameras, and they seem to work. They seem to work out just well. They're not too expensive, $12 for all these little foam pieces, and they install really easy. The hardest part about this is going to be getting the old foam off. For that, we're going to need some tools. Isopropyl alcohol is a must to loosen up the adhesive. Just some paper towels. I've cut up a sheet into little tiny squares so I don't use so much. I found toothpicks are very useful for getting into the little cracks and crevices of the back here. I'll show you. The foam is in this groove here, so toothpicks work really well to pick that out, and then because it's made of wood, it doesn't damage the camera finish or anything else in there. And some cotton swabs are also useful, more for applying alcohol. We don't want to soak the camera too much with alcohol without having some way of applying it easily. And then I have a tray that I like to squirt the alcohol into, just to have like a little pool of alcohol. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside for now. We'll have a couple toothpicks, a couple cotton swabs, and let's do the first part, probably the easiest, is the foam for the mirror. So let me remember how to get this lens off. So if you pick up a camera, used of course, and you're not sure if it needs light seals, the best thing to do is gently touch it. If it like falls apart, it needs new light seals. This stuff is very, it just disintegrating into like almost an oil or a grease. So that's definitely not something we need. Another tool I forgot. Let me grab it. One of these blowers. Works great for getting that foam out. Alright. Tweezers are also useful. So let me just get the main part of this foam off. There we go. And then what's left on there is the adhesive strip that was attached with, so we're gonna have to get that off. And let me throw that out so it doesn't. There we go. It's turning into grease right now. Throw that out so it doesn't get into my alcohol too much. There doesn't seem to be any other seals in there other than the bumper for the foam, or for the mirror. So we'll just apply it. See how it comes out black. Wait a second, and then it should scrape up fairly easily. Maybe not. Sometimes you can also grab it like this. I don't know if that's visible on the camera. In the video, I mean. I just don't want to get any of that on the focusing window up there, because it will probably stain it. we might just have to wait a while. Interestingly, there's a piece of fabric. Maybe that just is need to be put back in place. Oh wait, I don't want to trigger that. I'm going to break my mirror. It is starting to lift. There we go. I don't know if you can see it. This part is not difficult to do. None of this is difficult. It's a very easy thing to do to improve the light sealing of your camera. It just takes time. Let me get a paper towel so I can start wiping these off. Yeah, I like cutting it up into little squares so I don't use a whole paper towel to wipe off my tweezers a couple times. There we go. Let me see if I'm holding that right. Perfect, you can see it. Just a lot of old adhesive and glue. I think that is good. Let me hit that with the cotton swab again. Should come back a little bit cleaner. Be nice if that screw wasn't there. It must be very important. I'll have to make sure. I'm sure using these can be kind of dangerous. You can get cotton in there. And then you'll see that in your viewer finder, but I don't have anything better. And don't slip your tweezers like that. But if you're careful, you should be able to pick out most of the dust. And the remaining little fibers, who cares? If you're doing this for yourself, it doesn't matter. There we go. And that screw is a big glob of adhesive left. If we don't get it out, it just means the new strip we put on won't have a good base to adhere to. So it might come loose. In this way, if you plan to keep this camera a long time, you can kind of plan to do some preventative maintenance every so often and replace those proactively. They're not that expensive. Okay. Now, get the piece of foam out. I'm guessing it's this one. There's a longer piece. That must be the back. Yep. Yeah, double check before you take the adhesive off that it's going to fit. Okay. Wow, that's quite the foam. Alright. Now, the next trick. How do you place it without it sticking to everything? Get a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in your tray. These trays are from buying like produce, probably zucchini or cucumbers or corn, and then I just saved them. So the second most hard part of this ordeal is getting this backing off. I might... There we go. Sometimes... I don't know if I did this. Maybe that's what I did. I feel like it should come off. Anyways. Soak it in your isopropyl. Squeeze it out. Okay. Take that off. Make sure your adhesive gets a little bit. Get out. And then let's dab off some of that alcohol. So we'll be waiting forever for it. Okay. Now we can place it, and it shouldn't stick for a minute till... Sorry if you can't see what's going on. It's a little too wet. Come on, get in there. There we go. Nope. I think the mirror one you can get away without having to soak it down. God. It's not doing so well. Oh, it's sticky. Okay, nope. Let's hold it in place. Yeah, I would suggest maybe not doing this. I haven't done one in a couple weeks, so I can't remember. There we go. Probably just because I'm filming. Stick. And it sticks when I don't want it to. This video might be more of a how not to install these. It's definitely sticking on there. There. Yay. I see it's seeping out some isopropyl. Okay. And then just whatever isn't stuck down yet, blow some air on it. Alcohol should evaporate. There you go. Yeah, I think I usually don't put alcohol in this part. It's not usually that difficult. I've done like 2 cameras before this, so I really haven't done this a lot. US Camera has some instructions on their site about how to install these, and it goes into specifics for different cameras. So if you have one that has more light seals, I think I have what is it? Konica Auto Reflex TC, and it also comes with strips that go along here, I believe. I think that's the camera that has those. Alright. So now, I can make sure that it works. I put it on bulb and have it push that foam up. I guess I should have fired the shutter before placing the seal so you could hear what it sounds like. And that is the shutter damper, I believe they call it. Now for the back seals, the hardest part. And the first part of this is getting the foam on. I was seeing some of the more higher end models, the back door comes off, and that makes this part so much easier. But that does not on the K1000. I'm going to clean up this edge first. You can feel the sticky foam. We're going to use my little tray. Yeah, the foam. There you go. Kind of feels like it ate into the metal. Clean that up, dry it off. Yeah, I tend not to try to get the alcohol into the camera as little as possible. This back door doesn't really matter, but in here does, because you don't want it getting into the body somewheres and removing the grease from some kind of mechanism. I'm not going to take this apart and do any kind of lubrication, or I don't plan on it. I don't know if it needs that. I don't feel like it does. I'm probably going to use it once or twice, and if I really like it, I'll continue using it. Otherwise, I'll use the cameras I already have that I've grown to like. But yeah, I just picked this up because I thought it was very pretty, and it's one of those cameras that you see everyone talking about as, you know, a beginner's camera, and it's still relevant in today's age. Alright, yeah, the paint there is peeling off. That foam, when it degrades, it must have some kind of like paint stripper or something caustic in there. Let's get a new paper towels. We have more than enough. It ruins the finish. So I wonder if when Pentax made this, if that was in like a service manual for this thing, to replace the foam seals every so many years. Okay. That way we won't forget and slam the back door onto our new foam and do some kind of damage to it. Okay. Now for the fun part. What you're going to want to do, or what I have found that works, is more alcohol. I'm gonna soak the tip of this in here. You gotta get it in this crack here and just pick at it. See, it's like a goo that comes out. So have a paper towel ready and wipe it off. Be careful, there's like bumps and screw holes under here, so you might get caught. But just go gentle, take your time, get it all out. It's less foamy now and more grease. And just make sure that all this gook and grease does not get in the camera as much as possible. So there we go. That was a nice part. I tend to focus on one section at a time, so I'm going to do the top, and then I think I'll put the foam in the top, and then I'll do the bottom and put the foam in the bottom. So here we have some stuff. And number one rule, don't touch the shutter. Just don't. It's for the best to leave it alone. I might it's getting there. Let's get a new toothpick. They're cheap. So what I might do is what I said not to do, but I might put some alcohol in there. Just, can I get it in with that? I might be able to. If you can get the alcohol in there, it'll start to loosen the adhesive. Trying to see where they want you to put that other big piece of foam. It's like a velvet. We'll worry about that when we get there. This might be useful for... Oh, it says new old. There must be a new model of K1000. They must have revised it. Or I have the new model and the old model had more foam. Okay, let's let that soak a little bit. We can soak the tip of our Let's get that out before it goes somewhere we don't want it. Get a new toothpick. A couple of them. I guess while I'm doing this, I can talk about where I got this camera from. I picked it up off of Craigslist. It was listed, the body comes with a 50mm lens. Actually comes with two. Hello. Thank you for beeping. Maybe I'll edit that out. I don't know. I guess I can talk about where I picked this camera up from. I got it off of Craigslist. It came with two 50mm lenses. This is the only one that works. Or maybe this is the one that doesn't work. This one looks very beat up. This one might be the one that doesn't work. Ah, yes. This is the one that works. It also came with a flash, which I generally don't use. Some manuals. And another lens. A 135. And yeah. So when I was talking to the seller, it was kind of, some of their words were kind of weird. She was like, I assume this is a business transaction. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give you money, and you're gonna give me a camera, but I didn't really say anything else. I was like, yes, I have cash. I think that's all you really care about. And I guess, yeah. So when I get there, go to pick it up, it was listed really low, $100. And at the time of filming this right now, if you look, a body and a lens can go for about $200. And, you know, that's not sure what condition that is. I think it's working condition. This might be in the $200 range. It's not bad. Most of the dirt on the outside has to be washed away. Anyway, so she had it listed for $100, and she was talking to me as she's, you know, getting everything together, that she had a lot of calls about it, and so she was wondering if I have a store or how I'm gonna sell it. And I'm like, that's why she said business. She thinks I'm like a reseller or a dealer. And I was like, no, I'm actually gonna use it. You know, once I didn't tell her once I fixed it up. And then she was very, very happy that it didn't go to someone who, you know, was gonna just turn it for some money. Yeah, so I guess she was saying some more that, you know, people from all over were calling about it, and then once she would tell them that she's selling it already, then they would spill the beans and tell her, oh, you're selling it for way too less, way too little. You could get more money from it. So, yeah, all these dealers out there were trying to get it cheap, and if they couldn't, they were trying to get someone like me to have to pay the prices that you get for it online. But anyways, so yeah, if you're watching and this was your camera, yeah, it's going to be put to use here in a little bit once I get the light seals fixed. I know I picked it up in July and it's October now, but you know, sometimes I get distracted, and I've been distracted by other cameras. There, we got a whole big gook of it. I might end up cutting the recording right here and doing this myself, just because I'm sure this is very interesting video, watching me get out this old foam in silence. Also useful, and I have one, so if I do cut off the camera, I'm going to use it because it'll take up the shot, is a microscope. If you really, really want to get it clean, you can look down in there and pick until it's spotless. So I might do that just to be complete. And once I get both sides, I'll clean both sides, and then we can put in the foam together. And yeah, so it'll be like no time for you, and for me it might be an hour. And just like magic, it's now done. I forgot to mention a few tips as I was doing it off camera. I remembered. Number one, or well, let's not number them. I don't know how many I have. The first is to use these little squares of paper towel, fold them up, get a nice corner, and then dip them in the alcohol and run them along here like this. It really cleans up that gook. And then if you want to get even, and once you've gone through a couple times like that and you want to get real deep into there, just use your toothpick to push it in there and run it with some alcohol on there, and keep doing that until it comes out clean. You know, changing the paper towel every so often. The first few times you're going to have to change it every time. You'll run it through, throw it out, get a new one. And that's why we cut them into little tiny strips. So same as for both ends. The other thing not to forget about is these corners here. They're kind of difficult to get into. I've cleaned them as best as I can, but they seem to trap a lot of the foam and old adhesive and garbage. So really, you know, get into there, make sure you get in. I used a microscope. I have an AM scope. It was like, I think, a $200 or $300 model. So you can see in there pretty well. If you don't have that, just a magnifying glass, a loop, anything to kind of magnify these areas and see in, and you can also see into here. So another, maybe the final tip, is that this top here, you're gonna, depending on the camera model, this one's not so bad. The last camera model I did was pretty, you know, had a lot of holes, or screw holes. So what they do is the screws up at the top plate here, underneath all this covering, sometimes they've tapped in here, and like partial threads will be on the bottom here. So if you run your thing around, like there, I grabbed something. So if you look down in there with a microscope, there was like a hole drilled, and there's like, I don't know, 1/8 of an arc of the threads there. So just when you're cleaning, you'll probably hit those, maybe, you know, kind of pick them out a little bit better. And at least on most of the models I've seen, you have this tab here, and it engages with a little lever over here. So what it does, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is exactly what it does, is it's how this is, your counter is reset for your frames. So it holds some kind of mechanism in there so that when you're doing this number increments, but when you release the door, it releases that and it all sets back to 0. So you'll just have to make sure you get down into it. The foam has been like pushed into that recess, and there's a lever, depending on the model of camera, what is in there, and you might have some more like slots and holes. Just be careful. And also be careful, because of that is why we don't spray the alcohol directly into there, because it would probably run down here and seep into that hole and get into some of the mechanism here and dislodge some grease and lubricant that we don't really want to mess with. If you were taking this apart and doing a full clean inside and lubricate, maybe you wouldn't mind, but I am not planning on doing that with this camera. The rest of the mechanism doesn't seem to be bad, so I don't see why I should. Alright, now we're going to install the little foam strips. These are super thin. This is 2 of them together. Let's separate them. There's one. Okay, let's do one at a time. First thing, before you get too crazy, double check. Make sure it's going to fit. Yes. Sometimes I feel like these are cut a lot longer than what I need, but you know, just go with it. So what we did with the mirror foam, which we really didn't have to do, I would suggest not doing this with the foam for the mirror, just sticking it on there, but you have to make it so this is not sticky. What's the first camera I didn't do that, and you go to push it in and it sticks to this top lip. This foam kind of, as you're installing it, so you'd start here and it'd be nice and straight, and then as you're pushing it in, it kind of twists, and so it sticks to the side, and once it's done that, you're not gonna you're going to have a hard time getting it to line up nicely. So the best thing to do is to soak it with that little alcohol, and let's use very little this time. We just want to get that adhesive wet. You can also use water if you don't want to use alcohol in there, or the US camera site that this kit is from suggests Purell, but you have to make sure you buy the Purell without any kind of aloe or scent, any kind of additives. You just want straight up alcohol. So again, the second hardest part of this, getting that backing off. I think we are there. There. I'm going to pick a side and start. And let's take the backing off as we go. So just stick it in there. Tweezers are helpful. You're gonna have to hold it because it won't be sticky. Okay. And then let's just take all this backing right off. And start pushing it down in. Oops. It's sticking. So we're gonna have to soak. Oh darn. Let's soak it. I guess take the backing off. It didn't seem to. Didn't seem to not make it sticky. Okay. It's like a wet worm. Stick it in there. It'll evaporate real quickly. There you go. Again, this is not the difficult part. I say as I make it more difficult. And yeah, see now that it's not sticky, I don't know if you can see that, but if I'm not aligned perfectly, I can slide it back and forth. Okay. We are doing very well. So just tap it in. Make sure the corner has foam, and then we'll tap it all the way down. Make sure this corner has foam. Okay. And then you can close that, kind of seat it in there nicely. Open that up. And to dry it off quickly, just do that and the adhesive should set a little quicker. Either way, I usually let this set for a few hours before I do anything else with the camera after this. So I'll get the bottom strip on and then I'll let it sit with the back, you know, like halfway open just on the bench, drying that out. Because there is, not only is there water, yeah, there is water. So there's alcohol and water in this stuff. So you just want to, you know, not get water into your camera as much as possible. Alright, we're going to do the same thing, but for the bottom. And we're going to do it the way that I should have done it. Take that off. Soak it in a little bit of the alcohol. We don't have to go crazy. Just want to get that adhesive wet so it's not sticky. There we go. It's a wet noodle. put it, start one side, push it in, and then go along. This one might be a little wet. That's okay. Yeah, just make sure you're not twisted, or else the adhesive will be sticking up or sideways. And then once that alcohol evaporates, it's going to stick. And don't think you can get it off easily. Yeah, it looks like my alignment over here was not right. I have found sometimes the kits from them, the foam is a little bit longer than it needs to be. So let's just double check. It extends all the way down. Both sides, yep. Check over here. Yep. Perfect. Okay, close it. It'll smush that nicely. I just don't want to leave it closed because I gotta let the alcohol evaporate. We don't need that anymore. Or this. And we have a piece of foam left, which I think is for whichever model I don't have. So either the newer version or the older version. This is like it's like hairy. I don't know what it is. So I don't think that's where that goes, and there isn't a piece up here. I might look on the website, but I don't on the US Camera's site. US Camera will tell you, if you buy the kit from them, they will kind of point out, like with a photo, where all this stuff goes. So like here's one, and then here, and then if you need that, and they'll probably say on the site what it's for, if you have an extra for a reason. You do have an extra. If it does turn out to be an extra, I'll just put it aside and try to remember it. Maybe it'll save me some of these days when I get a camera and I just need a little piece of foam for something silly. There we go. I'm just gonna blow on it, get that alcohol to evaporate. And that's it for this camera. I'm going to let it sit like this for, maybe an hour or two. And then, as you can probably see by the top, it needs just a outside cleaning. I'll get after it with a cotton swab. It looks like it was either left on a shelf, or I'm not really sure. I think it was probably left on a shelf as like decoration, or in the back of a closet. The seller, she said she was getting rid of it because she didn't use it. So there was no reason for it to sit around not being used. And that's why they priced it so low, is they just wanted to get rid of it, and they didn't really care what its current value was. So that's all for the Pentax K1000 foam seal replacement. Definitely check out, if you get a kit either from US Camera or wherever, check out their instructions. They're usually very helpful and specific to your model, so if you don't get one like this. And yeah, these are just some of the tips and tricks I've found out after doing about 3 or 4 of these. I think this is the 4th light seal kit I've replaced. I've done a Pentax Spotmatic, a Canon AE1, and there has to be a third one. Maybe it's only 2. I have a Konica Auto Reflex TC that I need to do, and I have a Canon F1 that I just picked up the other day that I'm going to replace it. The foam on that doesn't seem to be bad. It's just, for $12, it gives you a guarantee that you're not going to get any light leaks. Alright, thanks for watching. Hold on a second, don't go anywhere. Turns out I was wrong. I know, happens every so often. I checked out the US Camera website for their replacement guide for the Pentax K1000, and they do have this extra piece of foam that I thought was extra does get installed here. So I'm going to pull off this old piece of I don't even know what it is, which the hair, as you can see, is coming out, or whatever you call it, the felt, and it's pulling apart. So I'm going to pull it off, and we'll put that piece of foam on there. I'm going to get the bulk of this off, and then I'm going to take a cotton swab, and we will clean it up, and then put on that piece of foam, and then this camera will be ready. So yeah, usually they don't have you replace that, but I guess maybe it goes bad. Alright, again, if this door came off, this would be much easier. I suggest finding a camera that the door comes off, if you can. If you're looking for a camera that's easy to repair, that's one of my tips. Okay. So then just get some alcohol on there. That'll loosen up the adhesive. Yeah, you can see it's already coming apart. Here's the other side. I forgot my toothpicks. The kit does come with a skewer, so we can use that. And I'll show you what I meant about using the paper towel. I'm just gonna fold and get a nice corner. Get some alcohol on it. Use my skewer or toothpick to push it into where there's dirt. There you go. Look at that. This is much easier than the grooves, but you get the idea. So we're gonna clean that until it doesn't clean no more. I can see some residue left on the side there. Let's take this, rub it. Yeah, it's still coming out dirty. There's still residue here. So we will grab that. Let's use this end of the skewer. Oop, throw that anywheres. And scrape it. There we go. And just use this. Pick up the loose stuff. Okay, there, we cleaned it up with minimal struggle. So that looks very nice. Let's get in there cleaned up. Okay. And then let's just put this on. I think what I'm going to do, unlike the mirror bumper, foam, whatever it's called. I know throughout I just reviewed the video and I called it many different things, probably none of them right, but unlike the foam for the mirror, let's not soak this, because I don't think it's needed. So I'm going to take it off and put it on again, just so we have a little bit to stick at first. And I have checked it, it does fit there. So let me figure out how to do this so we can both see what's going on. Let's put that right. Actually, we might need to do this a little bit, just so we can slide this around before we stick it down. Okay. And then should be able to pull this off. There we go. Okay. Start sticking it down there. And then we'll use the skewer to roll it nice and flat. There. Okay. And that is everything done. Okay, now that's all for the Pentax K1000.